Hi there, David Donahue from the Eyes of Horus, anxiety coach. And my mission is to get the word out there that you can overcome anxiety rather than just cope with it. And today I would like to talk to, I suppose, more therapists and coaches and those people who use hypnosis in any form to help people deal with anxiety. You see, the question I have for is, do you believe that your client or a person with anxiety can really overcome anxiety? And a lot of people say, oh, I think so. Well, if you only think so, the question I have is, does your client therefore believe that they can or not? Because they will be influenced by you. I have some training that I've got coming up, which I'd like to talk to you a bit later on in this video, and I'll give you details on how you can find out about that training, which is for therapists and for coaches and anyone who uses hypnosis to learn how to be able to overcome anxiety. You see, I have a 6 to 8 week program that I use. It's very successful. And I want to be able to teach other people this program so I can get the word out there that you can overcome anxiety. Now, on that point, that I want you thinking about the importance of beliefs. You see, it's said that beliefs are things that we prove to be true even if they're not true. So the very common one that people used to think about was that the earth was flat. And nowadays we know that the earth's not flat. However, it was a belief that people had. And at many stages of that belief there were fears. What happens if I went out too far? Would I fall off the earth? There were people who would go out sailing and actually never did come back. And so a way of explaining it was, well, yep, they must have fallen off the earth. So people use beliefs, and a lot of beliefs are associated with fear, fear of the unknown. And you see, that's what anxiety is. It's both of those. One is anxiety really is a fear of the unknown. And secondly, it is a belief. So when you're working with your clients, or even if you yourself have anxiety, then there are two things that you need to become aware of. One is, what is it that you fear? Now, for a phobia, which I can get rid of phobias, and most people who are trained in NLP can get rid of phobias easily within an hour. So phobias themselves are fairly straightforward. If you ask a person if they've got a phobia, what do they have a phobia of, they will tell you what they fear. Snakes, spiders, heights, flying, whatever it may be. Now, the cause of the fear may be something totally unrelated that the person has connected. And so I'm not going to go into the cause at the moment, but what I am going into is getting you to recognize that you want to know and help the person to understand what it is they have a phobia or anxiety about, because then they can do something very specifically about it. And so if someone has more social phobia, whether that's I don't like getting up and giving a presentation in front of a team, or look, I go out and I'm a salesman, one-to-one, fantastic, but put me on platform, no, I just can't do it. Then they have a fear around, you could say presenting, but it may not be. You see, it may be about the audience, which is what a lot of people assume. But even then, I've learned that, no, it's not necessarily about that. It can be about perfectionism. So what you do is you start to recognize what is the unknown that you fear. And then secondly, what's the belief you have around that? Now, I was talking to a female basketball player a few months ago and asking her about the way she was and what it was like before she went out on the basketball court. And she said, I have both excitement and nervousness. And I said, can you explain? And she said, well, I'm excited because I love basketball. I know how to play basketball. I can do it all the time. It's a thrill being out there. So that's the excitement. And a lot of us have excitement in what we do. The other side, though, was the nervousness. I said, what are you nervous about? She said, I don't know what's going to happen out on court. And I thought, well, that's really good. because that's something to recognize. That's what I mean by the fear and belief. That woman had a wonderful belief that she knows how to play basketball. Great. But she also had a fear of, for want of a better term, the unknown. Now, can I do anything, or can you do anything to help her to play her basketball even better? And the answer is yes. You see, if there is a fear of the unknown, it's a decision point that got made at some stage. And so you can find that and change it. And so often to do that, you first of all need to be aware of what is that fear, what is the unknown. Now, people often don't tell you, but they also believe what they read, what they hear, and they'll put it there. You see, at one level, people have a fear of flying. But in actual fact, no one has a fear of flying except the pilot, because that's the only person who's actually flying the plane. So most people in the plane either have a fear of claustrophobia, they have a fear of falling, they have a fear of heights. Very few have a fear of dying, and a few other fears could be in there as well. And so the idea is to really understand what it is you're working with. And that is one of the tips and hints around being able to help a person overcome anxiety, is to, in one way, not necessarily believe what they say consciously, but to get out of their unconscious mind what's going on. And so as you begin to recognize this, part of it is if a person talks all about their fears, then all they're doing is reinforcing it. But instead, if they start to recognize they've got a fear and you have them start not to describe their fear in any great detail, but at least enough detail so you're aware of what's going on, then you can start to drill into finding out what's coming from the unconscious part of the mind. And of course, hypnosis is a great way to find out what's coming from the unconscious part of the mind, because whether we're using regression, timeline, or any of those resource therapy type sides of where you can go into the past, then people go in there and they actually go in there really quickly and easily, as long as they understand that they can trust you and that you know what you're doing, that that's what they trust. So if you're working with a person with anxiousness, then help them to become aware of exactly what it is that they're having a fear of. What is that unknown? And then you find you can help them to overcome that fear of the unknown. Now, I've got a training coming up for therapists and practitioners. And this training is about teaching you my 6 to 8 session program for overcoming anxiety. Now, the program itself is fairly straightforward. What it covers mainly is the information around mindset, belief, process. So before I see anybody, I have a discovery session for an hour, and you will find out all about how to hold a discovery session, what's included, and you'll get the template that I use when I'm doing my discovery session. For each of the 6 to 8 sessions, you'll discover what's actually covered in each of those sessions. And sometimes they merge into each other, which is why I say it can be 6 to 8 sessions. And so you get the information on understanding what it is you're doing and the progression that you're helping a person to work through. You also learn more about what's the best level of trance when dealing with anxiety. What are the stages you need to go through to help a person with anxiety so that they can overcome it? And of course, there's much, much more. And so the outcome from learning this is that you become more skilled in being able to help people to overcome anxiety, and you also then have a belief and know, and you'll get the results of your clients actually overcoming anxiety rather than just coping or just leaving and coming back later saying, look, it hasn't really worked. So if you want to do that and learn more about that, then go to the website and you can enroll in the course. So allow yourself just to remember that it's not about coping with anxiety, it is about overcoming it. If you aren't sure whether you believe it, then you can change that belief. If you're a therapist, coach, someone who uses hypnosis, then that's one of the things that's a very important thing that we change during the training. So this is David Donahue from the Eyes of Horus, and have a good day.